to another episode of Palmetto Life on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm your host, Emily Zuhowski. First up today, from art to food to religion, there are so many Gullah influences you can see every day here in Charleston. We had the chance to immerse ourselves in this incredible culture, learning from Cory Alston, a local sweetgrass basket maker.
We have one full day of immersing yourselves in the Gullah history of Charleston, South Carolina. I am Cory Alston. I'm gonna speak with you today about the pillars that makes my culture so unique. I'm a fifth generation sweetgrass basket maker. I live here, a native of the Mount Pleasant area. I actually make sweetgrass baskets, keeping my family business alive. For those that don't know, the importance of keeping the art alive is generational. It's kept alive from parent to child. It's found nowhere else in America. And this skill set was brought in during the transatlantic slave trade. As the enslaved had the skill of rice cultivating, they also had the skill of making a certain basket known as a fanner basket, throwing the raw rices in the air with a thrashing motion, very similar to that. As you did that, the rice grains were heavier than the actual shaft is. The shaft would blow away. This was why actually what made Charleston the richest city of America of the 1600s, is because of the rice trade that was brought in during the transatlantic slave trade. When we harvest sweetgrass, we try to get it more in the early morning based off of the dew still being in the material that allows us to pull the sweetgrass out of the shoots. Midday, we don't really want to harvest from the plant because it could hurt the plant. So what we would do is actually find a patch of sweetgrass. We do a kind of like a hand wrapping around it and do a gentle pull. Once we do that gentle pull, it allows us to take the material, then take it to our places of drying. Let me show you how it's done. So most of us would take a handful and we want to pull it slowly out of the shoot. By pulling it slowly out of the shoot, it doesn't hurt the plant. What it actually does, it allows the plant to regrow another strand of sweetgrass out of that shoot. So when we harvest the material, we actually are pruning the plant so it can grow back stronger the next time. One plant can actually be harvested twice in one season. Big part of Charleston's history that's a lot of times not spoken or not known about would be the African river rock that's still in display and seen in some of the streets of Charleston. What most of us call this African river rock would be cobblestone. Cobblestone actually worked as a ballast of that time, helping those ships have weight as they brought in the goods from West Africa into the Charleston harbor. There's about 3 or 4 streets still here in the Charleston area that has not been covered by asphalt. This is one of them. You can see this African river rock here by coming down. It's one of those places of thinking and taking back times of history just by looking at the stories and the sizes of each rock. Cobblestones of Charleston. We're going to speak about the foods. We're going to speak about the art form of our culture, the language of our culture, the ways of life of the culture. Cannot leave out the religion of the Gullah people. We are a Christian-based faith. We've chosen to be Christian as we move forward. Actually, it was given to us at one time during the early days of enslavement, but then choosing that Christianity religion is something that most people have moved forward with. I'm standing in front of the most iconic churches of the peninsula. The Mother Emanuel is one of the original AME churches that's been here since the early days, still in existence, still a great place to worship. It actually was one of the places that you can actually come to during days of the Underground Railroad as a safe haven to protect you as you was moving from point A to point B. This was part of the Underground Railroad locations. If you get a chance to visit the church, I want you to definitely check out some of the bottom floors of where those areas were still kept there as a touring place, visuals, so you can actually understand also what happened during that time as well. So we're now going to taste the culture. By tasting the culture, we're going to order certain dishes that are definitely culturally kept alive, if you would, by having different things like stewed turkey wings or okra soup or lima beans and rice or whatever would have been used of early days. So I like to word it this way. When people always say, Cory, where do I get some good Gullah foods at? I ask, what do you mean by Gullah food? Because Gullah food is soul food and soul food is slave food, if that makes any sense. What that's really saying is the foods of the enslaved Africans turned into something that we call soul food. Being a culture of the Carolinas, we're Gullah, so that soul food moved into cultural food by having some of the same dishes you would have had in early days of enslavement, after days of enslavement, and now still today. We're gonna see these different dishes. Watch it. So now we're inside the restaurant and look at this spread. We have a little bit of everything. By tasting the culture, we're going to be able to taste the different dishes that were staples to the community by having stewed turkey wings or collard greens or okra soup over rice, fried pork chop, baked macaroni, candy yams. These are dishes that the culture has been eating and thriving from days of enslavement more on to today. This is the life of the Gullah people by eating these dishes. Once we start eating this, family, y'all still have to come to Hannibal's and try these dishes yourself. If we can pan in kind of closely of what we have here, I want to show you exactly what's going on. This is not no macaroni in a pot. No, this is baked macaroni. That's what the culture does. We do it the right way. So baked macaroni, we have stewed turkey wings, we have a ham hock on top of the okra soup. These are dishes that would have been used and eaten within the culture because a lot of white families did not eat these dishes. They were actually parts of the meats of animals that were non-desirable. So the Gullah people took these parts of the animals, made the best dishes out of them. Now they're the highlights of your trip when you come into town because hog maw, fatback, chitlin, turkey wing, those are non-desirable parts of animals. Now, as you want a real, true Gullah experience, you're having all these dishes now. But what makes it really important is making sure the next generation of people learn how to do it. Me having two daughters, they're now 16 and 21. Generationally, they fall within the 6th generation of basket makers. We don't want it to die out. If it's nowhere else in America, we want to make sure we teach it and keep it alive here in our town because that's what our town is known for.